Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Matt, and have you ever wondered where to find gold? Well, this pile of rocks behind me is what's known as a mine dump. This is a great place to look for gold. Now, a lot of people out there think that these mine dumps are completely worthless and there's no point in even touching them. And sometimes they are right, but sometimes you can find incredible amounts of gold or silver or copper, whatever you're looking for, in a mine dump. Now, the reason why, for example, if you need $1,000 worth of gold per ton of rock to break even, and this rock here only has $900 of gold per ton, you're going to throw it away because you would lose money by processing it. So you don't really know what's in here until you look. And there's mines out there that have shut down and gone out of business that were pulling out over 20 ounces of gold per 1 ton of rock. That means you could take a 5-gallon bucket of ore and have an ounce of gold. And yet they still went out of business. So what does that mean they were thrown away? So we're going to take a massive sample from this mine dump. Some of it we're going to pan, some of it we're going to crush up, and I'm going to show you guys that you can find your own gold in a mine dump. So as you can see here, you have that tan rock or brown rock, and then gray, and then more brown, and it just switches rock as we go, because as they go deeper into the ground, farther underground, they come across different rocks. So we're going to take a little bit of everything and see what we can find. One interesting fact about mine dumps is they suck for metal detecting because they have so much garbage in them that was just thrown away. So I'm going to take my orange traffic cone here, cut off the one edge and cut off the top and put it into the sandbag. This will make it a lot easier to load the sandbag because it's just going to go right through there, act as a funnel. See how well I can do this one-handed. Just like that, we have our sandbag full of material ready to go. So in this section of the mine dump, finding all this rock that doesn't weigh nothing. It's like it's lava rock or whatever it's called. It's dark and it doesn't weigh anything at all. Don't know what's in it. I'll take a little bit because it's here. Then we get a lot of just plain boring gray rock. Throw that in there. Don't look like there's any mineralization in there. But we just moved over one section. There's some gray. That's where we started. Which I don't think there's going to be anything in that material. They sunk the mine shaft a couple 100 feet. And I think that's what was in the mine shaft. Could be wrong. Maybe there's a lot of gold there. But just keep working our way along here and see what we can find. It's a lot of fun out here. Wish I had someone come with me. Sometimes it's miserable. This morning it was miserable. It was like 10 degrees. It was barely warming up and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now I'm just picking random spots along the mine dump to take all these sandbags full of dirt and rock back home. Now if you don't have a crusher, you might not want to take these bigger ones because you're not going to be panning that stuff, just the smaller stuff. But a lot of this I'll run through my crusher, so I don't really care what size it is right now. Stuff like this will go through just fine. See, it almost looks like some sulfides right through there. It's a little darker spots. Might just be dirt that's caked on there, but who knows. And now we move on to the next spot. Now that we have all 12 sandbags filled up, we will haul them back home and pan them, crush them, and if we're lucky, see a little bit of gold. I got a screen here. This one is 30 mesh. And my favorite little gold pan, it's actually a big gold pan. It's Garrett Super Sluice. And we're gonna put some rock in there. This bigger stuff here, we're actually gonna save that and put it through the crusher in a minute. So this material that I'm working with is a little bit damp, so I should be classifying it under the water right now, but it's cold. It's about 30 degrees or so last I checked, so this water here is froze. I had to pull ice, big huge ice sheet out of my tub of water here. So yeah, I'm taking shortcuts because I'm a wuss. It's cold. Here's a look at our pan of material. Only gonna do a little bit, and the rest of it we'll put through the crusher right there. Try to stratify your material. Make sure it's all wet. It works better if you break everything up by hand. But I only have two hands, and one of them's holding the camera, one's holding the gold pan. And work that material back and forth, and all the heavy material, or dense material, works its way to the bottom. And then you just wash off the lighter weight, less dense material. And you repeat the process. I have no idea if we're gonna find anything at all while we're panning, but I'm sure we'll find something when we crush up all the rock. Okay, I think that's about as far down as I want to go. Oh, somewhere here. A bigger rock made it through when I was classifying everything. So all that material's right there in that corner of the pan. For this last part, I like to flip the pan around and not use any of the riffles. Swirl it around and see what we can find. Kind of hard doing this while I'm recording. I usually set up the camera off to the side. See anything in there? Let me clean this up good and then we'll see if there's anything at all in there. I did find one tiny little speck of gold, but I couldn't get it to show up on the camera here. Well guys, we had a breakdown, so we are getting a lot of oversized rock like that that's coming out the bottom. Like that. That should never happen. You'll get a few rocks coming out that aren't as small as you want, but not like that. So, gotta take all this apart. Unfortunately, when it comes to crushing rock, or even just mining in general, breakdowns are a part of life, and they suck. Even if you're working for big, huge commercial mines, crushing 450 tons of rock per hour, breakdowns happen a lot. I know, because I've done it. I've been there, worked at the big mines, running D10s and stuff like that. D10 dozers. And a lot of rock that's piled up here. Save that for later when we're back up and running. See, so this roller and there's one back there. They roll towards each other and they crush all this rock into powder. So it's not end of the world. What we're gonna do is these bolts here adjust that roller. So we're gonna back that roller out and let all this rock that's up in here drop down. I got this bolt and this bolt loose. Now we're gonna come over here and I have to loosen this one, and then that one should back the roller out. Things here, it's a spud wrench, stabbing your spuds. Well, that's not what it's made for, but these spud wrenches are amazing. There is actually a difference, but they are a wonderful tool. Yes, I'm wearing orange gloves, latex gloves, because getting grease and oil on the gold will actually make it not stink when we go to run it through the water. So if I back out this nut and then the one on the other side, I can actually slide these rollers away. Just like so. There's something in there. I can't seem to get out. Had a bolt. I think that's what plugged it up. Hopefully that's all it was. And we can get back to crushing rock. Here's a look at all the rock that we have crushed up. It is just fine powder. Now it's, and then that barrel's full of it too. So we ended up with quite a bit. And we're gonna run all that material through the centrifuge bowl. These things are incredibly good at catching the tiniest of gold, stuff you can't even see without a magnifying glass. Pan, take our screen, got 100 holes per inch, tiny screen, tiny holes, that there, take your screen with 60 holes per inch, take our bucket of material, concentrates, we're going to dump it in there. By separating our concentrates out of the centrifuge bowl into 3 separate sizes, it will make it a whole lot easier and more efficient to pan it because the gold is so small. What's in the pan is the tiniest material of all, and it's also the most. Far more material in here than what we had on the screens. Now we're going to take our jet dry dish soap, and we're going to put a little bit in there. You don't need a lot. And this is to make sure our gold gets all clean and shiny. Just joking. It'll help break the surface tension of the water because the super tiny gold can actually float, which you don't want. So adding a little dish soap will help the gold to sink instead of float. Next, we're gonna take some salt. You can get it at Walmart. I'm gonna add this will actually help to separate a lot of the material that's in there in our concentrates here, because this changes with the density of the water. It's like the Red Sea. It's full of salt, or the Great Salt Lake, or whatever. There's so much salt in there that things float that wouldn't float in fresh water. So I'm gonna get this all mixed up. Now we're gonna take our gold pan and the biggest material, which is everything that did not go through the 60 mesh screen. Take our material and shake it side to side. When you do this, it will help to separate all that crushed up rock by how much it weighs. And we can slowly start washing away lighter weight stuff. And repeat the process. I'm willing to bet there's very little, if any, gold in this pan. But the next two will probably have some. I'm guessing the pan with the minus 100 material will have the most. I can't guarantee that. That's just I guess based on having done this for a couple years. So we're gonna swirl this around. Oh, get a little more water in there. See if we can get some sunlight. I am not seeing any gold at all in here. Now we're going to take our next size screen. It's the 100 mesh. So everything bigger than 100 and smaller than 60. The smaller the material, the more difficult it is to work with in every step of the process. And you get some nice chunky river gold. It's super nice to work with. Good, and we're gonna get all that material to the corner of the pan. Just take your time when you're working with stuff like this, the small stuff. Now we're gonna try that. You can also tap the edge of the pan. That a lot of times helps the gold settle in the corner a little better. And we're gonna take our little jeweler's loop, a magnifying glass, and we're gonna look and see if we can find anything. And it helps to use the sun, but there's a few pieces. So I saw some down here, but up here in the corner of the gold pan, there's actually a handful of pieces. So I'm gonna get this separated, and then we'll move on to the next pan of gold. Last up is all of this minus 100 mesh material. This stuff sucks to deal with, typically, but we'll see what we can do. And we'll combine it with what little bit we have from the two bigger sizes and get the gold pulled out and see how much we have total. So in this pan, there's actually a lot of that really, really black rock, which is usually a good sign. Not always, but usually. So while we didn't find a lot of gold on this trip, it just goes to show you that it is possible to find gold in a mine dump. And you never know what's there until you check.